Hi, I'm Erik Voss, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is the latest dinosaur movie to join a cinematic universe full of history that no one ever learns from, because it's more fun that way. Let's rewatch Fallen Kingdom scene by scene and point out all the details that you might have missed, Easter eggs that connected this successor's DNA to the past Jurassic history, and the subtle cinematic choices that make this offspring special. Because as Mr. DNA would tell us, it takes a mix of ancient mosquitoes and frogs to get that dino DNA. Yeah, I kind of forced it. Spoiler warning if you haven't seen Fallen Kingdom yet, and let's get started. This sequel's fun opening sequence shows a recovery team in the park ruins on Isla Nublar. A submarine finds the remains of the Indominus Rex, which was dragged underwater by the massive Mosasaurus at the end of the previous film. Later, Mills scientists will use DNA from this bone to create a new species, the Indoraptor. Fallen Kingdom was directed by JA Bayona, a filmmaker known for a really good eye with horror imagery and the use of shadows from movies like The Orphanage. And right away in this scene, he teases a visual device that he uses throughout the movie, flash illumination of a murky background to reveal the threat. As the camera follows the tracker up to the surface, lightning illuminates the silhouette of the Mosasaurus overhead. Bayona does this same trick moments later, when the sub's headlights switch off and the Mosasaurus' outline appears behind them. He also does it on the surface with the T-Rex, who is hidden in the background behind the tech guy and only illuminated briefly when flashes of lightning light him up. And by the way, notice how this tech is wearing a yellow rain jacket. That is a direct nod to the jacket worn by Dennis Nedry in his death scene in the original Jurassic Park. This guy's death gives us a visual callback of a different kind, opening this movie with the image of the Mosasaurus leaping out of the water to chomp on his dinner. This echoes the early shot of Jurassic World, where the dino eats the great white shark. From here, we move on to this news footage explaining the volcanic activity of Isla Nublar and the political debate over whether to save the dinosaurs. And if you look closely at the headline ticker, you can see one headline that says, US President questions existence of dinosaurs in the first place. And this feels like a nod to the current US President, who tends to deny basic reality. There's a similar nod later in the movie that I will get to. And then after this is a cameo by Dr. Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum, urging the Senate to let the dinos die. He warns about man-made cataclysmic changes like death, saying, quote, "You don't know what it looks like until you're standing at the gates." Now, Malcolm is metaphorically referring to the gates of the afterlife, like the pearly ones or the ones of hell. But he also could be nodding to the literal gates of Jurassic Park, a passage that definitely marked an entry to hell for him. Then we jump to Claire Deering, Bryce Dallas Howard. Our first shot of her is this close-up of her heels. Now, this is a sly reference to the close-ups of her running in heels in Jurassic World, which, yeah, remember, had a lot of people talking. Also, the coffee she's holding is from the brand Caveman Coffee. You can see the double C logo there. That company was co-founded by Tate Fletcher, who did stunt work on Jurassic World as an engine soldier. In the office, Claire talks on the phone to Congresswoman Delgado about dinosaur conservation. Now, the name Delgado sounds a lot like a reference to Richard Delgado. He was an artist who did concept art for past Jurassic Park movies. Claire then whisks off to the estate of Benjamin Lockwood, played by James Cromwell. Lockwood is the former partner to John Hammond, whose portrait Claire looks at. Lockwood possesses a cane topped with an amber, just like his partner Hammond did. She also meets with Eli Mills. Now, notice the portrait that he passes. That is of author Mary Shelley. She wrote the novel Frankenstein, which has the same warning against playing God that the Jurassic series does. So basically, this is Frankenstein's author presiding over a lab that Frankenstein's extinct species into new uncontrollable monsters. Clever girl. As Lockwood bemoans his falling out with Hammond, notice this shot of his granddaughter, well, kind of, Maisie. The director uses some more light trickery here, basking Maisie in a powerful beam of sunlight. He's literally highlighting the girl to foreshadow her significance revealed later on. At the end of the movie, we learn that she's actually a clone of Lockwood's daughter, and that human experimentation is what drove the two partners apart. So as Lockwood hints at his backstory, the director is spotlighting the true cloned elephant in the room. Claire recruits Owen Grady, Chris Pratt, so that they'll have a better chance of getting the raptor blue, and then the two of them, along with Claire's assistants Zia and Franklin, head to the island. There they meet Wheatley, who leads the rescue operation. He's played by Ted Levine, perhaps best known for playing Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs. Levine is a perfect casting choice here. Wheatley is a trophy hunter. He sadistically pulls teeth out of the dinosaurs that he catches for his collection. Similarly, Buffalo Bill was a serial killer who skinned his victims to make his skin suit. The expedition on the islands and the ruins of the park produce a lot of callbacks and parallels to the past Jurassic films. The team is greeted by a massive grazing brachiosaurus, giving them the same sense of awe that the characters in the first movie did. And this callback is underlined by the music here. The score in this moment mixes in John Williams' iconic Jurassic Park theme, reminding us of that memorable swell in the first film. Ugh. Also, during the scene, you can make out a faded sign for Margaritaville. That's calling back the restaurant in the park's main thoroughfare in Jurassic World, along with that movie's cameo with Jimmy Buffett himself. Owen's search for Blue leads to this flipped truck with the old school 90s make. Now, it's located at the base of this large tree, suggesting this could be the same truck that Grant, Tim, and Lexi were in the original Jurassic Park. There's also a close-up of the truck's side view mirror with the words "objects in mirror are larger than they appear." That's a callback to Spielberg's memorable close-up from the chase scene in the original movie. During the volcanic eruption, Claire and Franklin are attacked by a baryonyx. That dinosaur's existence was hinted at in the first movie. It only appeared as a reflection and on the park map. The eruption leads to this massive stampede with Owen, Claire, and Franklin taking cover behind a fallen tree, just like Grant and the kids did during the Gallimimus stampede in the original movie. At the gyrosphere, the Tyrannosaurus Rex appears with a last-minute save and a triumphant roar, echoing the last scene of Jurassic Park. And if you look closely, you can see that this T-Rex still has the battle scars from her fight with the raptors in the movie and the Indosaurus Rex in Jurassic World. They survive an intense gyrosphere sinking sequence and barely make it on the departing barge, turning back to see the saddest dinosaur in the world left behind on the dock. As the ash overtakes this dinosaur, notice how it rears on its hind legs once more, reminding us of its introduction. Geez, bad music really undercuts any emotional moment, doesn't it? Moving on, Wheatley makes Zia operate on Blue's wounds, and under his breath he calls her a nasty woman. Now, that's another political nod that I'm sure won't divide anyone.
But what we want to do is to replenish the Social Security Trust.
And in order to save Blue, they need a blood transfusion from the sedated T-Rex, a scene that Bayona actually provided commentary for. He said that he pitched this scene to Steven Spielberg himself to try to have another moment of tension during this transitional section of the movie, and he loved the idea of giving the actors a practical effect to work off of. And he said it was Chris Pratt's idea for Owen to dive through the T-Rex's open mouth right before it snaps shut. And we get another nod to the original movie here when Owen sees the T-Rex's eye up close. Notice how her pupil changes size, just like it did when Lexi pointed the flashlight at it. During the surgery on Blue, Owen flashes back to his memories training the dinosaur as a baby. This is intercut with Maisie back in Lockwood's mansion, watching recordings of these training sessions on the computer. And notice how Maisie's now wearing a red hoodie, which she actually wears throughout the rest of the movie. Bayona said that this was a nod to Elliot in E.T. Now, Fallen Kingdom was produced by Spielberg's production company, Amblin Entertainment, and Bayona included a few Spielberg homages that I'll get to later. Maisie overhears a debate between Mills and Henry Wu, B.D. Wong's character, making a return from Jurassic World and the original Jurassic Park. Henry Wu's name also appeared on the news report headline ticker earlier on. And as Maisie backs away and hiding, she gets her first encounter with the Indoraptor in the cage behind her, as Claw reaches out to try to grab her. And this movie may be the first Jurassic movie to depict a dinosaur's upper claw in such a slow, creepy, almost supernatural type threat. Actually, Bayona said that he based this gesture on the movie Nosferatu. That was the classic vampire film from 1922, in which Count Orlok had similar clawing fingers, and he crept at a similar haunting pace, like the Indoraptor does here. As the dinosaurs are brought into Lockwood's estate, the T-Rex is given a goat to eat. This is a callback to the original Jurassic Park goat, as well as the poor goat in Jurassic World. And during the auction mayhem, notice how the elevator keypad code is 7337. That's a nod to a short film by Sergio G. Sanchez, who helped Bayona get his start as a filmmaker. Sanchez wrote the script for The Orphanage, which Bayona directed. As the Indoraptor tears through the mansion, Owen, Claire, and Maisie see the soldier get dragged behind the exhibit. This is a visual callback to the very first death of this whole franchise, the park worker whom the raptor drags into the cage. As the Indoraptor stalks Maisie into her bedroom, its claw taps on the floor. The raptor's claws do this same creepy gesture in the kitchen scene in the first Jurassic Park, which actually this whole scene is designed to invoke. You also see this with the shot of the Indoraptor's shadow on the wall behind it, which is a recreation of the raptor's shadow on the wall behind Tim when the kids scarf down Jello. Bayona also meant for this scene to evoke another vampire movie, Dracula from 1979. The movie's Flesh of My Flesh scene features some similar shots, with the threat coming in through the window as the girl lies in bed. Also, if you look closely in Maisie's bedroom, Bayona snuck in another Spielberg Amblin reference, a little E.T. figurine sitting on the shelf. And of course, with Blue's help, the humans are able to kill the Indoraptor, epically impaling it on the horns of the Triceratops skull. Very cool. This is a nifty illustration of the movie's science versus nature theme. The Indoraptor is more a product of science at this point, a freak experiment. And the thing that brings it down is a dinosaur in its most natural state, a true fossil from the ancient world. And after they release the imprisoned dinosaurs into the human world, this movie's final sequence brings back Ian Malcolm. During his voiceover warning, Bayona includes a shot of pterodactyls flying in the sunset. It's a callback to the final shot of the pelicans in Jurassic Park and the final shot of Jurassic Park 3 of the pterodactyls in that movie. And that brings us to the final spoken line of the movie from Dr. Malcolm.
Welcome to Jurassic World.
Now, of course, this line is yet another nod to the first movie when Dr. Hammond first welcomed us to a world where humans and dinosaurs coexist.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
And by the way, there was a post-credits scene at the end of this movie showing pterodactyls roost atop the fake Eiffel Tower at the Paris Las Vegas casino. Careful with those bets, fellas. In Vegas, it's really easy to spare no expense. A question for you guys, since Fallen Kingdom made us feel a surprising amount of feels for the dinos, which dinosaur did you feel the worst for? Blue the raptor? Sad Littlefoot? Comment down below or tweet me directly at Erik Voss and follow New Rockstars on Twitter for updates on our videos. Like this video, share it around, and subscribe to New Rockstars for deep dives into movies you love. We got breakdowns of Marvel and Star Wars and Pixar, and an in-depth review of Fallen Kingdom that you should look at. And if you're curious about the dino I felt the worst for, obviously, Sad Littlefoot. I mean, I just know how he feels. I've been left behind on many docks while my friends go out boating. I think they're just jealous of my shirts. And say what you want, but flamingos used to be dinosaurs, dum-dum. Bye. Yeah! Yeah! Don't make fun of my shirt.